Welcome to Numbers Don't Lie, Marketing Insights for Accountants. I'm Brad Pinzer.
And I'm Janelle Sikora, and we are very excited to welcome a very special guest today. Welcome, Scott Fleszar. Did I say your last name right?
It's Fleszar. So, yeah, close enough.
Okay.
I'm thrilled to be here, and really appreciate you giving me this opportunity.
Great. Thank you. So, just for everybody who's listening, a little bit about you. I know that you're the former CEO of SafeSend.
Yeah, I was with SafeSend for 4.5 years. It's a fantastic platform for accounting firms that really streamlines the entire process of how a firm interacts with a client along the professional income tax preparation engagement. So everything from getting engagement letters out and collecting source documents on the front end, and then the delivery of the completed tax return and collecting of e-signatures on the back end. Great platform. And I was there for 4.5 years, and revenues grew 8x. Employee base went from 40 to about 180. We had offices in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and also in Bengaluru, where our engineering team was. Great net promoter scores, a great product line, and a great place to be. Great culture, high employee engagement, and just had a blast doing that. And really great organization with great people.
So, you had a lot of opportunity to get to know a lot of firms who use SafeSend. Tell us a little bit about the ideal firm that uses SafeSend. Was it just your smaller firms? Tell us a little bit about who used it and how many.
Sure. Yeah. So SafeSend again is for it basically aids the tax preparation process. And what's unique about it, it's a very sophisticated and fully featured platform, but it's incredibly intuitive. So we had all size firms that would use this platform. The largest firms, some of the biggest firms, in the country, or even global firms. The user persona in the firm that would use that would be typically a team of admin professionals. Then we all went all the way down to very small firms, even sole practitioners. And the user persona there could have been the partner or the preparer. So it's really designed for any size firm. But the typical firm that is using SafeSend, they're a year-round full-service accounting firm serving business clients, serving individual clients. They have sophisticated needs and are providing a high level of service to their clients. And that's why they see the benefits of implementing sophisticated technology that's going to make their staff incredibly efficient and provide a high level of service for their clients.
Mm-hmm. So since you kind of run the gamut of, it's not just one size firm that makes sense. You've seen the very large firms to the small firms to even the solopreneurs. What are some insights or some thoughts that you have on some of the challenges you see them face as it relates to selling more advisory services? Because in the last, I don't know, 8 years or so, there's been this real transition to go from the like that tactical transactional commodity sale to more of an advisory sale. And what are some of the challenges that you've seen some of these client firms face?
Yeah, this is great topic, important topic. There's so much. It's almost an inflection point for the profession right now. It seems for years, practitioners, could rely upon a tax return and a financial statement and a payroll report being kind of the deliverable and being the value they provided their clients. But really over the last 10 years, and it's going to even accelerate faster, I'll say over the next 10 years, that those services are just dwindling in value. The client certainly needs that from their accountant, but that's not what they truly value. So, firms, have to be in the business of providing a higher level of service. If they're working with business clients, they're going to need to help these business owners run better businesses and make better decisions and have better information to make those decisions. They're serving individuals, helping them with their personal financial situation and potentially wealth management. And to do any of that, to be able to provide that high level of service, the firm has to be efficient. And I would say, so problem number one, I would say, is firms today, they don't have time to provide this higher level trusted advisor service because they're so deadline driven, because they are so, backed up with the compliance work that they haven't figured out a way to, streamline their operations, potentially focus more on their A clients and maybe let their B and C clients go, or intentionally provide them sort of a different type of experience, a lower touch experience. But I think, step one might be, before even the firm decides if they have the expertise, is, do we even have the time? Because you're going to have to um, take your firm to a place where you have you can run efficiently enough that you can free up your professionals to not be doing the rote compliance work, but now have more time available to provide these services to their clients.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get there, and a lot of that is technology, some of it might be hiring, but there's also this talent shortage, and that there's not a lot of um, uh, there's not a lot of college grads moving into accounting degrees and getting their CPAs. So there's this, I'm going to say, perceived talent shortage, because I think firms need to think differently about who they're hiring and how they're hiring. But once you've got a situation where your firm is running more efficiently, then you have to think about the services you're going to offer, and do you have the expertise? And that's where I think a lot of firms are evaluating, is there an opportunity to add wealth management services? And now there's organizations out there that are supporting firms with getting into, that area of practice. If you're, for all the firms that are serving business clients, there's so much opportunity, if you understand what's going on with your clients' businesses, to help them, with how they've structured their entity, what their succession plan is or their exit strategy. What are they doing to build a business that's going to increase in enterprise value over time, so that either it moves on to the next generation, or they have an opportunity to potentially exit the business. So the areas of consulting and added service that you can provide business clients are almost endless. But again, you have to have kind of the time and then the expertise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, can I just jump in there, Janelle? I mean,
Yeah, of course.
Scott, you touched on a couple of things that I love to talk about. I talk about it with Janelle all the time. Is really, this software, the automation of a lot of processes and things like that, and what's happening with software. Definitely over the next 10 years, it's going to be incredible. I can't even I don't even want to go there because it's going to be so crazy. But even just like over the next couple of years, I do believe that we're at this inflection point right now, and that the software that's coming out, software like Arrive is a new software coming out that's basically going to automate a lot of the advisory type services. So then it comes down to, really looking at like what is the value of an accountant when all of these things are being automated to their clients. And I think it's going to create like this thing where you have to really, look really deeply inside and kind of figure out what that is, because not just with accounting, but like the value of a human, right? And in this whole kind of world that we're in now is really, it's being driven down to zero when all the like entry level type stuff can be automated. It's a huge problem, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And so, what do you think? What do you think that when we live in a world where a lot of that stuff is automated, even the advisory level work, what should an accountant be thinking about, in the near future? I mean, we're just talking a few years.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that there's always going to be great opportunity for, accounting professionals, finance professionals, wealth managers to provide very useful insights. So, I believe, what's going on right now with some of the automation technology and some of the artificial intelligence and, machine learning, you're getting to a point where, let's take a tax return, for instance, where firms should be getting to a point where they're spending less and less time with the actual preparation of the return. At SafeSend, we would always talk about the opportunity for the hands-free return, where you've got technology tools in place that are going to allow your clients to submit the information to you securely over the web, and then that information is automatically ingested, and essentially you've got a tax return that's going to be calculated with little or no work by the firm. That's kind of the holy grail. But once that happens, the IRS tax code is incredibly complex, and then you have the state tax code, and then what that comes down to is you need human insights, and these human insights are going to be aided by artificial intelligence and other, tools that are going to help professionals make better decisions in partnership with their clients. But I don't see it replacing the professional, because I've always said, because my entire career has been working in software companies that serve accounting firms with technology, that the IRS and the tax code and the complexity is great job security. The general, taxpayer out there, consumer out there, especially if they have any complexity in their financial life, they're going to need a professional, and they're going to need insights about planning and wealth management and how they're running their business. So I don't see those areas being automated, but I do see tax return preparation. That's the easiest example, being automated, and also accounting work being automated, which means if you're a firm that either doesn't have the desire or the capability to move beyond just providing a tax return, a financial statement, a payroll report, then I think you do have some risk, because those that the value of those services are going to go down. And even if you can do it really efficiently, it's likely your clients are going to be seeking a provider that's going to offer more.
Mm-hmm. So I agree with that. And I think articulating your value proposition is half the value, or half the battle as well for some of these firms. So one of the things that you guys were able to do, you were in a pretty crowded market too. And there's 85,000 accounting services firms and 56,000 CPA firms ish. And, I guess I would love to know your thoughts on how these firms can articulate their differences, right? And how they can differentiate themselves. Because if you've got a firm that's focused on, cash services and whatever their definition of advisory is, and they do tax strategy too, how do they articulate and differentiate themselves, and articulate their value so that it looks different than the firm down the street from them?
Yeah, great question. And I'm sure the two of you have spent maybe a lot of time thinking about this, but
Yeah.
I'm going to throw out a few things that I think are useful. The accounting profession really likes jargon. It likes the jargon that,
Yeah.
I'll say, the actual accountants and the tax preparers and the individuals in the firm and those that have gotten their CPA certification like to use. Well, none of that is client friendly. So I think the first thing that a firm needs to do is they need to think about, how can we communicate about complex financial concepts and tax concepts and do it in plain language? Because that's the only way you're going to be able to, have a message that resonates with current clients and potential clients. So I think cutting through the jargon, and perhaps getting someone in your firm that doesn't have, CPA certification, that doesn't have a background in accounting, to help with that. That's a good communicator, that potentially is maybe come from a service-oriented business. That's going to make a lot of sense. I've had this conversation with other practitioners. It's like, if I take my car into the shop and I want it fixed, sometimes the mechanic comes out and gives me a long, detailed explanation of what they fixed. I mean, it goes one ear and one and out the other, because really want to know is that it has been fixed, and that I'm good to go, and put some, I'll say, service elements around that. But I think accounting firms spend too much time in the jargon and too much time in the technical details that the clients don't understand and don't have a lot of value from. So I think your messaging needs to be in plain language.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
Yeah, and I also think firms can differentiate themselves by talking about their technology and how it's going to be easy for you as a client to interact with our firm.
Yeah.
And I think the client experience or the client service value proposition for firms needs to be both people and technology. You could talk about how we have service-oriented people and we're going to take care of you, but then you also need to reference the technology tools you're using and how it's going to be easy for the firm, for the client to interact with the firm. That's important for a couple different reasons. One is I think that's pretty much an expectation of clients now, clients and prospective clients. But the other is you want to set the expectation that although we're going to be here to serve you, we're going to be expecting you to use our technology platform because it's going to be more efficient for us and you. So I think, talking about the overall kind of service profile would be good. And then, I I think firms miss opportunities to learn from their current clients. I think you need to do a pretty comprehensive survey every year and figure out what's working, what's not working. They'll tell you. So they might tell you that I don't understand some of these, some of the way you're describing your services to me. So I think surveying customers at least once annually. And I think if you can do kind of an online survey, but then you probably also need to do some, phone call type surveys where, especially for your best clients, you're getting really good, honest, candid feedback. And then also, at least once a year, you should be, having some sort of, I'll say, staff summit where the staff can give feedback because they're going to also tell you where things aren't working, maybe for the clients. And when you know what your clients, when you do a survey, you want to find out two things: what's working really well, and maybe that can be part of your messaging then to prospective clients. And then what's not working well, and then you can fix that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It does all come down to messaging. Brad and I talk about that all the time. And you're right about the technical jargon because they live it, sleep it, breathe it all day long. And, sometimes I'm probably guilty of the same around marketing jargon. But the firms I think that have the best relationships and the strongest, longest relationships with their clients are the ones that can speak like, layman, right? Anybody can understand what they're saying. In fact, we have a firm that we're working with now completely overhauling their messaging and their website, everything. And that is one of the first things that they said was, well, we speak like normal people and we actually like to have fun. And that is a huge differentiator. And a lot of people don't realize that it would be, but it is. And then the other thing that they focus on specifically is talking about results. So we've been working with them on talking about how to package up their services and how to talk about it through the eyes of a business owner who all they really care about is the results that they're getting, right? So I think that's really important too, is to put some messaging around the results that you get for these small business owners.
Absolutely. I mean, Janelle, that example you just gave me, about the firm saying, we talk like normal people and we like to have fun. If I were looking for an accounting firm and I
And
pulled up an accounting firm's website and that was maybe the first thing I read, I'd already be excited about potentially working with the firm. If it just said, we talk like real people and we like to have fun, that is a great way to convey the type of culture that I think a lot of prospective clients want from their accounting firm. And
I agree.
sometimes it's as simple as that.
Yeah, you got to show some personality, otherwise you're just
Totally.
like everybody
Yeah,
else. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly
And
right.
also, like to your point before, like the jargon and the insider language, we like to say also is if you're able to talk about your business and what you offer to somebody that's like 13 years old, for instance, and they're
Mm.
able to take what you said to them and be able to communicate it to somebody else and capture everything that you do, like that's how you have to think about it when you're, talking about the things that you do. And if you can't do that, then you're too complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. Another area I think firms can learn a lot from, and they have a real blind spot too, is just understanding actually what your client experience is. And
Mhm.
especially at firms of any size, where you've got leadership that is 1 or 2 degrees removed from actually working frequently directly with the client. And I think, those leaders need to go to, someone in the firm that is closer to the front lines and say, hey, off-season project for you. I want you to map out the client experience, and I want to understand where we have gaps. I want to understand where, we just are not, we're missing the mark, and we don't have the right kind of feedback loop in place, or we don't have the right, way to best respond to clients. Because I think if firms are really honest about, some of the ways that they interact with their clients and some of the challenges that are there, they handle them one off. But if they were to step back, map out the whole process, they could, fix probably 2 or 3 things, and that would eliminate, 80% of the issues, kind of the 80/20 rule. You're always going to have situations where, a client has special, requests or what have you, but it's handling, 80% of what your firm's going to see in a more automated and timely fashion. That's going to elevate your firm's, service profile, and going to elevate, the experience for your client.
Yeah.
The other, oh, I'm sorry, Janelle, just one thing is that I really like the survey thing that you said, not only with the clients, but also internally with the staff. But also when you're talking about communication, when you're talking about actually doing these surveys, you're also communicating by saying that, and that's part of the communication. So like it's like communication within communication, and you're communicating your process, and you're saying something, you're sending a message that, hey, we care about you, we care about our business, and we care about providing a great experience and all that kind of stuff. And so it's some of it's like subconscious,
Mhm.
and it's a differentiator. It's all really, really important.
Totally. And, the accounting firm I work with, frequently they will send out a video, and it basically, I'll get an email, I'll click on a link, and the video will come up. And it's common, like this would be a common situation where it would be the partner in the firm, it's after tax season, thanking clients for the business and saying, hey, we've got a survey we'd love for you to take. We take your feedback seriously, and, we'd appreciate your candid comments. So you're absolutely right, Brad. Even if the client never takes the survey or never provides any feedback, the message they've gotten is that the firm cares and is monitoring client, satisfaction. And also, I think the video is a really nice touch, because it's not just, it doesn't seem like a, form letter email, which is like, I fly Delta all the time, and I don't want to throw Delta under the bus, but I always get the email that says I need to rate the experience, and it just feels like form letter. I'm like, it doesn't seem like anyone's going to really, you know, take my feedback seriously. But yeah, I think you cultivate a culture of, our firm has a customer feedback or a client feedback loop, and we take that seriously, and that's a real positive message.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
like what you said about video. We preach that all the time. And a lot of accountants are really uncomfortable getting behind video. And we tell them, look, nobody's looking for a news anchor. No one wants perfection. They just want to have that relationship to see the person that they're working with and dealing with. And I think you're right. That's a whole different level of genuine authenticity. If you get on and you're like, hey, listen, we take your feedback seriously. Please take a minute to fill this out. We've also worked with firms that have a lot of success with doing a quick Loom video or bomb or something at the end of a month or end of a quarter, or even after a tax return, and recording a video to go over certain insights with clients, send it off to the client. Client loves it. That's another way, I think, really to differentiate yourself, if you're not afraid to create those little videos, because people watch videos, they convert. That's why YouTube is the second largest search engine there is.
Yeah,
Right.
and we, you miss out on like the tone and all the stuff when it's the
Mm.
written word, and it doesn't matter so much like what you say. It's more like just the fact that it's how you say it, it's the intention behind it and all that kind of stuff. So your words don't matter quite as much. And the medium is the message, all that kind of stuff, is in play.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
something else I wanted to get your insight on. So one of the things that we do help firms with a lot are content marketing strategies, funnels, automating the whole thing, automating a lot of the client experience process. What were from a content marketing perspective, what were some of the things that you guys did in your company that worked really well? Aside from your typical sales structure, networking, those types of things, what were some of the tactics you employed that worked well for you guys that maybe a firm listener could take away from that?
Yeah, I'm trying to associate what we did as a software company providing, technology to accounting firms and what might work for an accounting firm. I think, um, you know, an area that worked well for us is just case studies or customer testimonials.
Yep.
And I think, at times firms probably need to tread a little more carefully there because they've got to, they've got confidential information with their
Sure.
clients. But I know there are some clients, every firm I've spoken to, they've got their clients that, they've got just great relationships with, and the clients that love to wave the flag for the firm. So I think that anything you can capture, from an existing client that they're willing to share about their experience working with the firm, I think is obviously very good for lead generation for new clients. But I also think existing clients like to hear that as well. And and have it be a little bit more than just, hey, they provide great service, but if they're a business owner, well, how did we help you run a better business? And I think they can give 2 or 3 nuggets. And then if I'm a business owner and I'm looking for a new accounting firm, that kind of message is going to, resonate really well.
I agree.
In terms of, other content marketing, I think, just firms sharing more insights about, I'll say, trends and like whether they're economic trends or, a big one this year is this new beneficial ownership information report that firms have to fill, that businesses are required, to file this year. I think firms, the best firms I've seen of how they handle this, they were very proactive. They get out in front. They're not waiting for their clients to ask about it. They're out in front with some message about this requirement is coming. We're on top of it. Some firms even don't want to handle it. They can direct their clients somewhere else. But, if the firm is going to handle that report, it just describe how we're going to handle it and what, this entails and what's new, why this new report is required. I think the key there is being proactive. If you're proactive and you are, letting your clients know ahead of time of this new requirement, that's going to make them feel at ease that, okay, my firm's got my back, and they are not only handling everything that they do for me every year, but they're looking out for the new things they need to do for me. So
That's right. Yeah, and I want to go back to what you said about case studies and testimonials. Social proof is where it's at. I mean, think about the last time you went and ordered something anywhere, Amazon or anywhere else. You're gonna look at the reviews, and we always talk to firms about the importance of getting Google reviews because it's social proof, but it also is good for SEO. So it tells Google that you're a viable business and an active business. And I think that that's something that also is really important about the communication loop is making sure that you have some sort of a strategy in place, whether it's automated or not, to get those Google reviews, because those are what people look at. And, to not be scared of getting the negative reviews, because it's not the negative review per se, but it's what people are going to look at is how did you respond to that negative review? So,
right.
I think that's important for our accounting firms to do those two things, which is get a feedback loop, get testimonials, have a survey out there so that you can get good feedback in place and make changes based on that. But I think that that's really, really important. And then, of course, like being proactive and keeping people up to date on new things that they've heard about or are nervous about, letting them know we've got your back. We understand this. We're your experts. Again, it goes back to humans are not going to replace a machine when it comes to things like human insight and expertise and relationship. So, as we kind of begin to wrap this up, if you were, what we really like to have firms gain from these episodes are some insights that they can go and immediately implement into their business today. So if we had to kind of wrap things up, and you had to say, okay, if you're not doing anything today, here's 1, 2, maybe 3 things that you should be doing as we prepare for 2025. What would 1 or 2 of those things be from your perspective?
Yeah, I'll give a couple. One we talked about, jargon. I think firms can fall into the jargon trap really easily, and many of them are trapped in it right now. So you need to, step back and take a look at how are we communicating on our website? How are we communicating to clients, current clients and prospective clients? And you have to figure out a way to filter, you know, a profession that is riddled with jargon. You need to filter that out and come up with plain language ways to describe complex financial situations, complex tax situations, because you're speaking to not CPAs, not tax preparers, you're speaking to business owners and individuals, and you need to think about your audience. So I think jargon's one. The other, we haven't, didn't necessarily, we touched upon it briefly, but I think is just make your firm human. I think we talked about, a firm potentially saying, we're I can't remember what it was, we're regular people and we like to have fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's an important message. And one of the ways I think firms can do that is to spotlight their staff and spotlight the, what's going on personally with the staff and their families, to the extent people are, comfortable with that. But I think any of the businesses I've ever worked with, when I learn a little bit more about the people working there and you realize, hey, these are great people, you feel better about doing business with them. So spotlight your staff and bring out the, uniqueness and, the unique personalities you have on your team.
Yeah. Yeah. Show the human behind the
Yeah.
name, right? We always tell people to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
fantastic advice there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for hopping on with us today. I think we could probably do part 2, part 3, part 4. We could keep going on lots of different topics. And so we really appreciate that you took the time to talk with us today. And we are just so thankful to have the opportunity to kind of get some insights from you. And we hope that it was helpful for all of our listeners. So until next time, thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. This was great. Appreciate it.